They told you nuts are heart healthy, but for men over 60, that advice could quietly be destroying your erections, clouding your memory, and even damaging your kidneys. Yes, the wrong nut, one you likely eat every day, might benevolently fueling inflammation, disrupting your medications, and waking your strength where it matters most. I'm Dr. Mohit Kara. For over 30 years, I've helped older men restore their energy, their clarity, and their confidence naturally. And what I've seen again and again is this: the food you think is helping you may actually be holding you back. Here's the shocking truth. 4 of the most popular nuts in America, ones that fill your trail mix, your kitchen cabinet, and even your so-called healthy snacks, may be tired, foggy, and sexually disconnected. But there's good news, because there are 4 other nuts backed by real science that can do the opposite. These nuts support blood flow, boost testosterone, sharpen your brain, and even help you sleep through the night. And today, I'll walk you through the 4 you should never touch again, and the 4 you need to start eating daily. And near the end, I'll reveal the one nut I consider most dangerous for senior men's health. It may be in your pantry right now. Before dive in, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another senior health tip that could change your life. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can better serve your health and well-being. Let's begin with the first nut you should never eat again after 60. It's found in nearly every pantry, marketed as a healthy snack, and yet behind the label, it's quietly fueling inflammation, raising blood pressure, and interfering with your medications. That nut is the peanut. Let me explain. Peanuts. 1. Peanuts, the silent inflammation time bomb. I'll never forget the day George came into my office. He was 72, a proud Vietnam vet, still walking a few miles every morning, still strong in spirit, but he sat across from me with a puzzled look. His joints ached more than usual. His energy had dropped off, and his blood pressure had crept up without Doc, he said, I'm eating healthy. I snack on peanuts every day instead of chips. Those are supposed to good, right? That moment stopped me, because George was doing what so many good men over 60 do, trusting labels, trusting old habits. But the truth is, peanuts aren't nuts at all. They're legumes. And because they grow underground, they're highly vulnerable to aflatoxins, mold-based toxins that you can't see, smell, or taste. These toxins have been linked to liver damage, immune suppression, and even cancer. And for seniors whose detox systems naturally slow with age, that buildup becomes a real and silent threat. Peanuts are also known to trigger chronic low-grade inflammation. That means joint pain, brain fog, cardiovascular stress, all the things George was experiencing. And while they may taste harmless, most commercial peanuts are roasted in unhealthy oil sand coated with salt, which only worsens blood pressure and heart risk. To make matters worse, peanuts can interact with medications, especially blood thinners, by affecting vitamin K absorption and liver metabolism. George was shocked, but when we removed its peanuts, added the right alternatives, and gave his body space to heal, everything started to shift. His joints felt better, his pressure lowered, his focus returned. And if peanuts, something as ordinary as that, could be causing this much damage, wait until you hear what the next nut might be doing to your blood, sugar, your kidneys, and your digestion. It's one of the most deceptively healthy choices out there. Let's talk about it. 2. Cashews. Cashews, the blood sugar and kidney stone trap. A few years ago, I had a patient named Linda. She was 70, full of warmth, always smiling, and the kind of grandmother who loved baking for her grandkids. But lately, she'd been feeling off, bloated, fatigued, and confused by unexpected blood sugars. She wasn't diabetic, but her numbers were climbing, and she had no idea why. During our consultation, she mentioned one thing again and again: cashews. She added them to her granola, her smoothies, even her so-called healthy snack bars. They're good for you, right? She asked. I see this so often. Cashews wear the mask of a health food, but for older adults they come with hidden dangers. Per ounce, cashews contain about 9 grams of carbohydrates, high for a nut, and they have a surprisingly strong glycemic. For someone like Linda, who weighs already in the pre-diabetic range, the daily spikes were quietly stressing her system. And here's the part most people didn't realize. Cashews are high in oxalates. These compounds bind to calcium in the gut, reducing absorption and raising the risk of kidney stones, which are not only painful, but also more dangerous with age. On top of that, cashews can be a choking hazard, especially for seniors with slower swallowing reflexes. Their soft curved shape makes them deceptive, and unless processed correctly, raw cashews contain uracil, the same chemical found in poison ivy, which must be neutralized through heat and chemical treatments, often stripping away essential nutrients. When Linda replaced cashews with safer, more functional options, her digestion improved, her sugar stabilized, and she felt lighter and more energized. It was a simple shift, but it made all the difference. Now, if you think cashews are sneaky, wait until you hear about the next nut. It's buttery. rich, and marketed as healthy, but it could be quiet lippling on pounds, clogging your arteries, and even triggering gallbladder attacks. Let me show you hot. It is Macadamia 3, Macadamia, the rich man's fat bomb. Carl was one of those patients who did almost everything right. A railroad engineer in his late 60s, he had a sharp mind, a disciplined lifestyle, an acquired sense of pride in staying healthy. But, over the course of a few months, something started to change. His weight crept up slowly, his blood pressure followed, he felt unusually sluggish after meals. When I reviewed his diet, he chuckled and said, "Doc, I don't eat junk, just a few macadamia nuts each night. They're supposed to be good for the heart, right?" It's a common belief, and I understood where he was coming from. Macadamia, not shaved that smooth, buttery taste that feels almost luxurious, like the perfect healthy indulgence. But the reality is, they pack an enormous amount of calories and fat into each tiny handful. Just 1 ounce, barely a small scoop, contains 200 calories and 22 grams of fat. That's enough to silently derail the metabolism of any man over 60, especially if physical activity has slowed down. It's what I call invisible weight gain, not from overeating, but from underestimating. But it goes deeper. Macadamias are high in saturated fat, which can raise LDL cholesterol and place extra strain on anaging heart. They're also dense and hard-posing, real problems for seniors with dental work. And for those with gallbladder issues, known or hidden, these high-fat nuts can provoke painful attacks, even emergencies. When Carl cut them out, the difference was night and day. His energy came back. The scale stopped creeping. His post-meal discomfort vanished. It wasn't about guilt. It was about awareness. But while macadamia might weigh you down slowly, the next nut on our list can create chaos in a completely by changing how your food and water taste, affecting your appetite, and even interfering with your medications. The Sony surprises almost everyone. Let's dive in. 4. Pine nuts. The medication pine nuts disruptor. Several years ago, a thoughtful patient named Ruth walked into my office with a concern I'll never forget. She was 74, sharp as a tack, careful with her routines, and deeply committed to staying healthy. But something had changed. "Dr. Kara," she said, "everything tastes like metal, water, food, eventually." It's been weeks. At first, we went through the usual suspects: medications, hydration, even vitamin deficiencies. But then she mentioned something she'd recently added to her diet: homomata pesto loaded with pine nuts. That's when everything clicked. Ruth weighs a condition known as pinemath, a strange metallic taste distortion that can last for days or even weeks after eating certain varieties of pine nuts. Now, while that may not sound dangerous on its own, here's the hidden danger. When food and water suddenly taste unpleasant, many seniors unconsciously start eating and drinking less. For someone already at risk of unintentional weight loss or dehydration, this can lead to a rapid decline in strength, immunity, and even mood. But pine nuts don't stop there. They contain compounds that may interfere with liver enzymes responsible for metabolizing many common medications, especially drugs for blood pressure, cholesterol, and mental health. That means your prescriptions might not work the way they're supposed to, or worse, they could cause unexpected side effects. Pine nuts also go rancid quickly, and when their delicate fats oxidize, they can actually increase inflammation, not reduce it. On top of all that, they're small, slippery, and for those with dry mouth or weaker swallowing reflexes, they pose a real choking hazard. When Ruth eliminated the pesto, her appetite returned, her energy improved, and the metallic taste finally faded. Sometimes, it's the smallest changes that make the biggest difference. And now that you know the for not silently harming your health, let's flip script, because there are 4 powerful healing nuts that I recommend almost every man over 60. Ones that boost testosterone, restore memory, lower blood pressure, and even help you sleep better at night. Let me show you how hot they are. 1. Brazil nuts. D-Brazil nuts, thyroid and testosterone, IGNITER. I still remember Jack like it was yesterday, a retired firefighter in his late 60s. He came into my office feeling completely burned out. His words were simple but heavy. "Doc, I'm tired. I've lost my edge." His energy was gone. His memory was slipping, and the fire he once carried in his body and in his bedroom had dimmed. We ran a full blood panel, and one thing stood out immediately. Jack's selenium levels were dangerously low. Now selenium is a trace mineral most men never think about, but it plays a critical role in how we think, move and feel. It powers thyroid hormones, which control metabolism, energy, mood, and brain function. And just as importantly, selenium is essential for testosterone, a hormone that affects everything from muscle strength to libido to emotional resilience. Without enough selenium, these systems start to slow down quietly and steadily. I gave Jack a simple assignment: eat 1 Brazil nut every morning. Not a supplement, not a complicated plan, just a nut. 3 weeks later, he was a Newman. His eyes were brighter, he spoke with more energy, and with a grin, he said, Doc, I don't know what's in that nut, but I feel alive again. That's the power of Brazil nuts. Josto nut contains more than 130% of your daily selenium needs. And unlike synthetic pills, the selenium in Brazil nuts is natural and highly absorbable. It also supports nerve health by maintaining the myelin sheaths, that protective layer that keeps your flexes sharp and your movement cordoned. But if one single nut can wake up your thyroid, recharge your testosterone, and protect your nerves, imagine Wuthapins when you pair it with the next. It's the silent guardian of your bones and brain, and it might already remind you of someone you love. Let's talk about it. 2 almonds. The bone and almonds brain defender. Almonds always remind me of my father. Every morning, like clockwork, he'd sit by the window with a warm cup of tea and a small bowl of raw almonds. He'd crack them slowly. Chew with intention, Anzi. These little things are keeping mess harp son. Back then, I didn't fully understand what he meant, but now, after decades in medicine and men's aging, Ichno, he was right. Almonds are more than a snack. For men over 60, they're a quiet force of protection, especially for your bones and your brain. As we age, bone density naturally declines. A fall that once left a bruise can now mean a fracture, a hospital stay, or months of recovery. Almonds are rich in calcium, but what makes them truly special is their magnesium. Magnesium acts like a traffic controller, directing calcium into your bones where it belongs. Instead of flooding, it clogged your arteries. It's a rare and powerful combination that supports bone strength and heart health at the same time. And then there's your brain. Almonds, especially when eaten with the skin on, contain flavonoids and vitamin E, antioxidants that work together to fight oxidative stress that damages brain cells. Studies suggest that regular almond intake may slow down cognitive and protect against age. Even the fiber in almonds plays a role, helping regulation, reduce constipation, and keep your energy more stable throughout the day. I usually recommend 15 to 20 almonds a day, raw or dry, roasted, unsalted, chewed slowly and mindfully. It's not just a snack. It's an investment in your clarity, your balance, and your independence. But while almonds protect your bones and our brain, the next nut goes deeper. It looks like a tiny brain, and it might just be the best food nature ever created to protect. The real one. You won't want to miss this. 3. Walnuts. Walnuts, the brain's favorite food. I once had a patient named Harold, a retard music teacher in his 70s. He had drastically lost his wife and was quietly struggling, forgetting names, missed keys, even getting confused, driving home from familiar places. During 104 visits, he opened a kitchen cabinet and pulled out a small jar. Inside were walnuts. He looked at me and said, I read somewhere, they're good for the brain, and they kind of look like a brain, don't they? He gave a look, but he was right. More right than new. Walnuts are a miracle from nature, especially for aging minds. They're rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 that helps preserve the flexibility of brain cell membranes. These membranes tend to stiffen, slowing down communication between. That's when memory gets fuzzy, focus fades, and that sharpness we once had begins to slip away. Walnuts help keep those connections strong. But it doesn't stop there. Walnuts are loaded with polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that cross the blood-brain barrier and help reduce neural inflammation, one of the root causes of dementia and cognitive decline. And they contain natural melatonin, which can help restore the deep restorative sleep that becomes harder to find as we grow older. Harold began eating a handful of walnuts each night. Within a month, he told me he felt more alert, more grounded. It's not just my memory, Doc, he said. I feel like I'm slowly coming back to myself. I recommend 7 to 9 walnut halves daily, preferably raw and eaten with That's where many of the healing compounds live. And while walnuts help restore what timetries to take from the brain, the next nut on our list may just be your secret weapon for better blood pressure, clearer vision, and stable blood sugar. Let's uncover what makes it so extraordinary. Pistachios. For pistachios, the blood pressure, vision, and sugar stabilizer. When I think of pistachios, I think of me grandfather. Every afternoon, like clockwork, he'd sit in his old wooden chair by the kitchen window with a bowl of pistachios in his lap. He'd crack each one open slowly, quietly, almost like a ritual. Back then, I thought it was just a quirky habit, but now, I understand he was doing some things readily wise without even knowing it. Pistachios are one of the most underrated nuts, especially for men over 60. They're packed with potassium, more serving than most fruits, and that's key for relaxing blood vessels and naturally lowering blood pressure. For older men who are more sensitive to salt and prone to arterial stiffness, this kind of gentle support makes a real difference. But pistachios offer more than heart protection. They're rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, two powerful concentrate in the retina and help filter out harmful blue light. These nutrients play a critical role in preserving vision and slowing age-related macular degeneration, something many men quietly fear as the years go on. Even more impressive, pistachios Support blood sugar stability with about 3 g offiber per ounce and a low glycemic. They help slow digestion and reduce post-meal sugar spikes. Ideal for anyone managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. And here's something else. Eating thin in the shell slows you down, turning snacking into a mindful activity. It gives your body time to register fullness, helping prevent overeating without the need to count calories. I recommend 1 ounce per day, about 49 nuts, unsalted or lightly salted, and always kept fresh. But now that you've learned the 4 nuts, I encourage my patients to eat the single day. The real question is, how do these small choices come together to change your life? Let's bring it all home in one powerful final message. Final doctor's message. Final doctor's message. After decades of sitting across from men, their 60s, 80s, 70s, even 80s, I've seen own truth over and over again. It's knowledge that breaks us down. It's the little habits we repeat. Today, we uncovered 4 nuts to avoid: peanuts, cashews, macadamia, and pine nuts, and for Toembre, Brazil nuts, almonds, walnuts, and pistachios. These aren't just snacks. They're signals to your body that you're ready to heal. If this massage helped you or someone you love, consider donating to support more senior-focused health content like this. Every bit makes a difference.